It started with rain. New York had that kind of rain that didn't fall, it stayed, clinging to everything, coating the streets in a silver haze that swallowed lights and swallowed thoughts. On a night like that, Riley Evans was supposed to go home early. She didn't. Instead, she ducked into a small bar on East 11th called The Lantern, a place that smelled like whiskey and secrets. Riley wasn't used to being noticed. She liked it that way, simple, clean, hidden behind her black jacket and the messy bun that said "Don't talk to me." She was a photojournalist, and she'd spent the last 6 months chasing stories that didn't want to be found. War zones, protests, ruined cities, everywhere but home. And yet, that night, in a room full of strangers, she was seen. By her. She was at the piano near the corner, dark hair cascading over her shoulders, fingers moving like smoke over the keys. The melody was slow, unhurried, but something about it carried tension, like a confession whispered too late. Her name, Riley would soon learn, was Adrian Cole. Their eyes met when the song ended. No words, just a look that lingered longer than polite. Adrian's lips curved, not into a smile, but something between challenge and invitation. Riley looked away first, pretending to check her phone. But she could still feel that gaze, sharp and soft all at once, like the moment before lightning hits. Adrian came over after her set. "Adrian, you look like you're waiting for someone." "Riley, I'm not." "Adrian, good. Then I can sit here." She didn't ask permission again. The conversation began like all small talk does, half-hearted questions, guarded answers. But it didn't stay there. Adrian had this way of leaning in, eyes glinting like she already knew you were lying. And Riley, who never gave away anything, found herself wanting to. They talked about music, about cities, about the idea of leaving everything behind. By midnight, Riley felt like she'd known her for years. Outside, the rain turned into a storm. When the power flickered, the whole bar went dim except for the faint red glow of the emergency lights. Adrian didn't move. She just whispered, "Feels like the world paused for us." Riley didn't know if it was the whiskey or the storm or that look, but she believed her. They left together, no plan, no reason. Just the quiet magnetism of two people who didn't want the night to end. They walked until the streets were empty. Adrian's laugh echoed between buildings, wild and unafraid. She wasn't like anyone Riley had ever met, there was something untamed about her, like she belonged to no one and nothing. When she talked, she didn't filter, when she looked, she didn't hide. They found shelter under a half-lit awning near a closed bookstore. "Riley, you always talk to strangers like this?" "Adrian, only when they look like they've been running from something." "Riley, and what makes you think I am?" "Adrian, because you look like you'd rather drown than go home." That silence afterward said everything. The thunder rolled. The city held its breath. And when Adrian reached out, just brushing Riley's sleeve, it felt like an explosion without sound. Not a touch, but a recognition. Something inside Riley cracked. She told herself it was just the night, the rain, the loneliness. But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. They ended up at Adrian's place, a studio apartment on the 10th floor, overlooking the East River. The walls were painted with light from the city, half gold, half shadow. Guitars leaned against the wall. There was an unfinished painting on the easel, two silhouettes blurred into one. "Adrian, don't read too much into it." "Riley, you're terrible at hiding metaphors." Adrian, smirking, "You're terrible at pretending you don't get them." Riley wanted to argue, but Adrian stepped closer. And that was it. The air between them tightened. Words became unnecessary. Everything that needed to be said existed in that small space, between the inhale and the heartbeat. Adrian traced her fingers along Riley's wrist, stopping just before the pulse. The city hummed beyond the window. Every sense sharpened, rain against glass, electricity in the air, the warmth of someone who shouldn't matter but suddenly did. The night burned quietly. They didn't speak of it when morning came. They didn't have to. Riley left before sunrise, leaving behind only her umbrella. Adrian watched from the window, a faint smile flickering as the first light caught her face. It should have ended there. It didn't. 2 weeks later, Riley saw Adrian again, on a poster. Local musician Adrian Cole to perform at Charity Gala, November 21st. She almost didn't go. Almost. But curiosity, or something sharper, dragged her there. The gala was everything Adrian wasn't: polished, pretentious, wrapped in false smiles and glass chandeliers. Riley didn't belong, and she knew it. Still, when Adrian stepped on stage, in a black dress that caught the light like a secret, Riley forgot to breathe. Their eyes met again. Same storm. Same fire. After the show, Adrian found her outside. "Adrian, you came." "Riley, you didn't invite me." "Adrian, you didn't need one." They stood too close. Words trembled on the edge of something dangerous. "Riley, whatever this is, it's not smart." "Adrian, neither are most beautiful things." Then she kissed her, soft, deliberate, like an answer to a question Riley hadn't dared to ask. But beauty never lasts without cost. Riley learned that Adrian wasn't free. There was someone else, someone with a ring, someone whose name Adrian couldn't even say without breaking the spell. It wasn't love, Adrian insisted. Just a life she couldn't walk away from. Riley didn't believe her. Or maybe she did, and that was worse. They kept meeting anyway, stolen hours, hidden messages, a fire that refused to die. Every time Riley told herself this is the last time, but it never was. Adrian had become an addiction she couldn't shake, a melody stuck in her veins. And one night, after another argument, Adrian said quietly, "You knew what this was." "Riley, I didn't know it would hurt this much." "Adrian, then don't love me." "Riley, too late." That was the first time Riley saw her cry. The city outside their window burned with lights, but inside, something was unraveling, slowly, painfully, beautifully. It was winter when everything began to fall apart. Riley had started avoiding the places that reminded her of Adrian: the bar, the bookstore awning, even the stretch of river that used to glow beneath Adrian's apartment window. But memory is a cruel city, it hides behind every corner and waits. She tried to drown herself in work. Photo assignments, endless deadlines, flights to anywhere that wasn't here. Yet every image she took seemed to bend toward Adrian, hands reaching, eyes half closed, the moment before goodbye. Then one night, a message. A single line that made her breath catch. "Play me something real." It was Adrian's phrase, the one she'd say when she wanted Riley to stop pretending. Against her own logic, Riley went back. Adrian opened the door before Riley could knock. Her hair was shorter now, her face thinner. The room smelled of paint and rain. "Adrian, I thought you'd blocked me." "Riley, I tried." Adrian, and failed, as usual. The silence between them was heavier than before, but it wasn't empty. It pulsed, alive with everything unsaid. Adrian turned back to the piano. "Adrian, I wrote something new." "Riley, you always do when you're breaking." The melody that filled the room was jagged, no sweetness, only ache. Riley closed her eyes. Every note sounded like a door closing. When it ended, Adrian whispered, "He found out." The words hung there, fragile and final. Riley didn't ask how. She just knew this was the beginning of the end. "Riley, what did he do?" "Adrian, nothing yet. But he will." Her laugh cracked in the middle. "He called it a phase. Like I'm a storm he'll wait out." Riley stepped closer. "Riley, and what are we, then?" "Adrian, we're the thunder that follows." They stood so close that Riley could see the tremor in Adrian's hands. She wanted to hold her, to promise safety, but there was no safety left between them, only the quiet knowing that love can't fix what the world refuses to understand. Days blurred into weeks. Adrian cancelled shows. Riley stopped sleeping. They met in places that didn't exist on maps: a motel outside the city, a friend's studio, the rooftop of an abandoned warehouse. Every meeting felt stolen, like time itself was lending them minutes it would soon reclaim. Once, during a snowstorm, Adrian said, "If I disappear, don't look for me." Riley laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. The next time she went to the lantern, the piano was gone. No one had seen Adrian in days. Her number was disconnected. Riley searched anyway: the bars, the river, even the gallery where Adrian once displayed her paintings. Nothing. It was as if the city had swallowed her whole. Until one night, Riley found an envelope taped to her door. No name, just the faint scent of turpentine and rain. Inside was a photograph: Adrian standing by the river, looking over her shoulder, half smiling. On the back, a single line: "Don't let the fire die, even if I did." Riley sank to the floor, the world tilting. She read the words until they blurred, until her heartbeat matched the rhythm of the city outside. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but love had left her only silence. Months passed. The world moved on. Riley published a series of photos titled "The Night We Burned." Critics called it a meditation on loss and light. They didn't know it was a love letter, one Adrian would never read. Every photo carried pieces of him. A shadow that looked like a touch. A reflection that wasn't supposed to be there. Two silhouettes blurred into one. At the opening exhibit, someone asked Riley what the title meant. She thought of the rain, the music, the taste of goodbye. "Riley, it means we were alive once." Spring came back to New York. The city looked the same, but nothing felt familiar. One evening, walking along the East River, Riley saw a street musician playing piano under a bridge. The melody was broken, uneven, but in it was the echo of Adrian's song. Riley stopped. For the first time in months, she smiled. The sky burned orange over the water. Maybe Adrian was gone. Maybe she'd simply become part of the noise and light of the city, the hum that never really fades. Riley took a picture, not of the musician, but of the river itself, endless, moving, refusing to hold still. She whispered to the wind, "I kept the fire." And somewhere in the city, the rain began again,